Gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Sneck127 and welcome back to another Skyforge video. Probably one of the only Skyforge videos I have never done on my channel since March of 2017. One that people have been anticipating and waiting for a very long time for me because this question has been asked to me since the PS4 version. When was I actually going to give a full review on Skyforge? Well, when it comes to Skyforge, guys, I do plan on playing this game long term, so I think I'm probably going to do like a review once a year thing. So without further ado, this is going to be my Skyforge 2017 review. This is my first year playing Skyforge. Now I'm going to put an annotation here in the description for people who just want to skip ahead and get straight into my review, but I want to talk a bit about my background with Skyforge before we get into anything else. So for those who don't know, I am a Skyforge influencer. I was earlier this year as well for my.com. Basically for the PlayStation 4 version. I made some rants. Actually dropped out of the influencer program. I wasn't too happy with the state of the game at the current time. I felt like the developers weren't listening to any feedback, and I felt like the game was just launched initially on PS4 in a very terrible state. And I had a very public, open opinion of letting that known. Like, there's a very popular hashtag trend going on called LiveForge that I am possibly responsible for spreading literally all over YouTube. Me and, of course, a few other content creators. But as time passed, they made constant improvements to the game. A lot of the things I complained about were solved over time due to the developers listening and stuff like that. And eventually the game came to Xbox One. A lot of people were asking my feedback on it. I just finally decided to take a look back into the game. I checked it out again around the summertime, then in the fall, and recently, of course, the Xbox One version. And honestly, with what I've seen so far, I'm very, very impressed. Very pleased. A lot of issues I had were solved. I will say this review is going to entail to all three versions of Skyforge, PS4, PC, and Xbox One. However, I do want to make it clear that the Xbox One does have one superior advantage aside from the PC version and the PS4 version, which is basically no region lock, meaning this is the only version where players from all over the world play together on one single server. The PS4 version and PC version both actually have region lock on them. So just so you guys are aware, these versions do have some differences. There are things like, you know, cosmetic differences and stuff like that, but overall, the builds of the game are exactly the same. Just each game is at its own state in the game. Like, Skyforge's content cycle is a bit different from typical MMOs, so these games are never actually going to line up together, or at least, you know, I personally don't think so, unless, you know, they decide to just grab both console versions and just boost them ahead magically one day. I don't think these three versions will ever coincide with each other. That's just my personal opinion based off of Skyforge's content cycle. And with that being said, I want to start this review off by saying that Skyforge is probably the most unique MMORPG I've ever played. Throughout all my rants and things that I have made on Skyforge in the past, I have said that multiple times in multiple videos, even videos where I was actually just outright bashing the game. Now, for those who want my review in short, Skyforge, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, judging by, you know, everything I've dealt with. From rants down to my guides, down to playing all the content I have in both versions of the game. Skyforge honestly deserves an 8 out of 10. We're going to talk about why and why I believe so. First thing we're going to talk about with Skyforge, and most important thing, is the classes. Skyforge has a very unique class system. 15 different classes now. When it first launched, there were 14 classes. When it actually first came out on PC, there were actually 13 classes. For those who don't know, the Outlaw and the Revenant actually aren't original classes that were in the base version of the game. Both of these classes are DLC classes and do seem a bit overpowered compared to a lot of the other classes, but I do want to explain that and get into detail on that part because that is one thing that throws a lot of people off. Every class in Skyforge, and this is why I say it has a unique class system where there's something for everybody. Every class is unique and good at something in its own way. Some, you know, specialize in high amounts of damage, some specialize in speed, some specialize in dodging and stuff like that. You have to find, you know, what works for you with what specific class. And the cool thing is you can either have a mindset of one thing. Hey, I like using this class only specifically for this, or I like playing all the classes so I can do different things with, you know, different types of play styles and stuff like that. There's a play style here for everybody. Me personally, I like to stick with one class. I am a main of a Revenant and a Berserker. I like two-hand great weapons, so you know that's my whole thing. You know, slow, heavy swings and all that kind of stuff. But you know, you could be, you know, want to be fast and dodge a lot. So you could want to play a Slayer. You could just, you know, like toting guns and doing tons of damage. That would be an outlaw and stuff like that. Every single class in this game is very, very unique. And speaking of unique, let's get into the next thing. Skyforge's setting, its story. It's not your typical MMORPG, you know, with just a simple leveling system. Hey, go through a bunch of boring quests, hit level 50 or 60, boom, end game. There's a few dungeons for you to run, collect some currency to get a certain type of gear every week till the next patch. And now Skyforge does work that way. A lot of MMORPGs do work that similar way as well. Skyforge takes a bit of a different take on it, which I think is a really cool thing. Instead of getting, you know, typical patches and updates and stuff like that, Skyforge gets what's called an invasion. An invasion lasts typically 12 weeks. As an immortal, you're defending the planet known as Alien, which is basically, in my opinion, a year 2600 version of Earth. It's just a crazy, super futuristic version of Earth. If you guys look around, look at the style of the area, how people are and everything, their dress styles, forms, and stuff like that, you guys can see it's just a very, very urban, futuristic game. It's not like, you know, you're on like Mars, Jupiter, or some crazy planet, and you know, you're playing like Space Halo or Warframe or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with those games, but you know, you guys can tell it's just a beefed up version of Earth, or at least, you know, to my opinion, that's how I look at it, and that's how I honestly see things. You're chosen immortal by the great god Eli. You have a destiny to fulfill to save Alien. Alien gets invasions by, you know, other alien invaders from different parts of the universe. These invasions, like I was saying before, they last 12 weeks long, and this is how your content cycle comes in. With every invasion starts a new generation of gear, meaning, you know, the gear levels get higher and all that stuff. Gear will increase your leveling, your basic leveling, which is known as your prestige, but your level in Skyforge is basically all accumulated by your might. And basically to grow your might, you're a powerful immortal. You get more followers. The more followers and people you have praying to you, the more powerful you are, the higher your might gets, the higher your prestige gets. Very unique leveling system. You get more followers by leveling up temples, working on different quests, completing storyline quests, saving followers in different instances and missions, dungeons, raids, and all kinds of stuff. There's plenty of dungeons, raids, and stuff in this game. There's 3-man instances, there's 5-man dungeons, and then you have, of course, 10-person raids, and there's also another group of 10-person raids called distortions, which are basically, you know, your hardcore hard mode raids that give the best gear. The best comparison I can use to compare distortions to is, if you've ever played Final Fantasy XIV, you want to compare distortions to either the Binding Coil of Bahamut raid series, or like the Alexander series from Final Fantasy XIV's Heavensward expansion. That's the best way that's the best thing to compare distortions to, at least to my opinion, and how that works. Every invasion, you're going to get, you know, 4 new distortions. And the cool thing is about the content in Skyforge is, with every invasion, it gives you reasons to run back and do the old content. A lot of the older dungeons that, you know, the new players who are also coming into the game have to run, they will give you gear for that current invasion as well. There'll be normal modes and hard mode versions of them, which are relatively the same dungeon, just with more powerful enemies, which is, you know, a pretty cool thing. So with that being said, because the dungeons and everything don't change up too much, it can get, you know, a little bit stale and a little bit boring fast, because, you know, you are running the same content over and over. But don't worry, with invasions also comes new instances. With every invasion, you get a new 3-man instances, you get new 5-man instances, and of course you get new distortions. But as always, you guys know, with the lore of brand new loot, you always, you know, want to go back and run old content if it gets, you know, new stuff. Trust me, everyone knows the deal with MMOs. If you've run Operation Isabella 1,000 times, but you see it now, it has a piece of Generation 3 gear, you're gonna run and go back and want to run Operation Isabella some more, you know, just to get that upgrade and all that stuff. Just using an example of a raid for this video. Another thing I wanted to talk about with Skyforge is its story. Skyforge has a really cool story. The only thing that bugs me is they don't do too much to introduce it to you in the beginning of the game. Like, the tutorial of this game, it's very minimal. Very minimal, very bare bones. You don't get to try out and test too many of the classes, which is something that kind of bugs me. They don't teach you too much of the story. You're basically, you're killed, you discover you're an immortal, and then the story really doesn't bloom and everything till end game, and you run the seasonal story missions. But other than that, the beginning of the game is really, just run through these provinces, kill as much stuff as you can until you get to the end. It doesn't do too much to explain itself and describe it. For people that really do love story-driven games and lore, that can be a bit of a turnoff in the beginning. So that's kind of one thing I wish they would work on their introduction a little bit, do more to to explain the game, the classes, what exactly your purpose is in this world of Alien and all that fun stuff, because that can help draw a lot of people in better. And speaking of things I don't really care for too much with this game. There's only one small issue with this game that kind of does bug me, and we're going to talk about this because I know it's one thing a lot of people are curious about, and that is the pay to win aspect. Now, is Skyforge pay to win? Are there pay to win tendencies in here? I'm going to be honest, the answer is yes. There is a way to pay money and you can actually just advance your progress in the game. Now, for what it's worth, to give yourself a severe advantage and make yourself the most powerful person in the world, it'll take an absurd amount of money to make that happen. So yes, the option to do it is there, but other than that, the things you can buy are just really simple and subtle upgrades to your characters. So I wouldn't go as far as saying it's just a game you can buy your way through and stuff like that, because you can't purchase your way through all the content. You still have to complete everything and all that stuff. But are there items in here that can help give you an edge quicker in the game? Yes, and that's where my problem lies with it. It's not the fact that it's pay to win, it's the fact that paid players and people that buy things get rewarded and are and have a much easier time obtaining things than the hardcore free-to-play grinder players. Now, the reason this bothers me is because people who who just grind, spend tons and tons of hours on your game, especially an MMORPG of all games, the last thing you want to do is make them feel like their hard work isn't getting them anywhere. And that's why I believe Skyforge needs to exhibit some type of system where it's paid currency, which is called Argents, and it's in-game currency, which is called credits, a way for these two to balance each other. Like, for example, you can buy credits, the in-game currency, with Argents, the paid currency. You can also earn Argents, the paid currency, in-game by doing daily challenges. It's small, subtle amounts, but you can still earn Argents every day. There's a possibility of getting an RNG drop of Argents from your capital every day that you log in, and you can also do a daily operation. As long as you come up in a certain tier compared to other players, you can get about 150 Argents a day. So roughly you can earn between 400 and 600 Argents a day by doing daily things, and if RNG is on your side, which is a cool thing. But at the same time, I believe there should be a system to convert like credits to Argents, knowledge of enemies to Argents, or something like that, because a lot of in-game things are purchasable with Argents, such as mounts and stuff like that, and the game only gives you temporary mounts that don't last forever in the beginning of the game. So the fact that a free-to-play player can't grind their way even to earn a mount is just that's a little bit unacceptable. When a lot of MMORPGs out here today give you mounts for free. Like, look how often Neverwinter, for example, has put like free mounts for PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live users in the stores and things like that. A mount should not be something that's difficult to obtain in a game, just because there's a misbalance with the currency system, and that I believe is going to be Skyforge's biggest flaw, and what's going to possibly hurt this game in the long run. But other than that, everything about this game is unique, amazing. I love it. Of course, with the Xbox One version, there's launch bugs, there's launch issues, there's difficult things going on with the game and stuff like that. Just typical stuff that come with the MMO launch. There's text, there's a little bit of text, chat lag, there's some frame drops here and there, stuff like that. But it's a brand new game, brand new server. Of course, bugs and issues are going to come along with it. But if you compare it to its PS4 counterpart, which has, has had a decent development cycle throughout the year. The PS4 version also started just as rocky, maybe a little bit worse, and it's running very well right now. So you can definitely believe that the Xbox version is going to run well. And if you've seen the PC version, you guys know how good the PC version runs. The one that's been out for nearly 3 years now. So it's a great port, and the fact that, you know, all three games run the same, they're just in different spaces of game progress and stuff like that, is a great thing. Like, PS4 players, you know, can get advice from, you know, PC players. Xbox One players can get advice from PS4 and PC players and stuff like that. These three communities can literally combine and, you know, and talk with each other and help. Just besides, you know, the obvious fact of game progression. But other than that, guys, Skyforge, honestly, I believe it's an amazing game. Tons of content, tons of stuff to do, a very unique leveling system, fun to play, and most and best of all, it is free. Like I said, the only gripe I have with this game personally is I think the microtransaction system just needs a bit of work. I don't think it's, you know, a severe, horrible pay-to-win game or anything like that, but I just feel like, you know, that some free-to-play players, I believe they deserve, you know, some more incentive for what they do. Like, everything in this game you can unlock by grinding classes, weapons, whatever you need. It's possible to grind any and everything in this game. So that's not the issue. I just believe that, you know, there should be just a bit more balance between the free-to-play side of this game and the paid side of this game. That's my only issue. But anyway, guys, if this video helped you, be sure to smash that thumbs up button for me. And I want to thank you all so much for watching. It's your boy Tanek127, and please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time, peace out, take care.